Tonight, shots fired in Canada's halls of power. A soldier and a suspect both dead. The capital city on lockdown, and in this country, the FBI put on alert. Ebola battle over whether those fighting the disease overseas really need to be quarantined when they get back to the U.S. And making a difference, the story of an 89-year-old war veteran and a 3-year-old boy happen to be neighbors and best of friends. Their bond about to be broken until so many of you stepped up.
Good evening. This was an awful week for our northern neighbors in Canada, and it has made for nervousness to the south among law enforcement throughout North America. 2 people are dead tonight. In Ottawa, a Canadian soldier and a suspect after a shooting on Parliament Hill, Canada's equivalent of Capitol Hill. A violent morning that culminated in a shootout. The gunman killed in that exchange of fire has been identified as a Canadian citizen who converted to Islam. It all happened in the heart of Ottawa at the War Memorial beginning tonight with Brooks Kenny giving us some insight on the situation. Brooks, what do we know? Why did he shoot?
Well, they still have not found out why he shot, considering that he is dead, and they probably will not figure out why he shot. But the big controversy is whether or not this was planned due to the Parliament's meeting to discuss terrorism in Canada, which is a very big thing, as throughout the years terrorism has advanced and security has had to, and Canada is really trying to step up.
Now, as we continue our discussion about security, is this a sign for things to come for Canadians?
I would not expect so, but if it happened again, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Now, what do you think Canada can learn from the Washington shootings, and what can we learn from the Canadian shootings in the Parliament building?
Well, I think that in Canada they learned from the Washington shootings that you need to have the safety precautions in order. Like at school this week, we had a drill to make sure that if something happened in the cafeteria, we were able to get to safety.
And a lot of this was we've created these plans on what to do in the event of these emergencies due to these unfortunate events in Washington, in Canada, up in Ottawa. Do you feel that they were properly prepared, that they did all they could to prevent this unfortunate event?
In Ottawa, yes. I mean, they are trying to fix up their police system with the mounted police, but they did do the right thing. They locked down the entire downtown center of the city. They canceled the big hockey game of the Maple Leaf Senators, and they did the right thing. They just kind of shut it down.
So what does this tell us about Canadian security on Capitol Hill, if you will? They were prepared?
They could be more prepared, but they definitely had a plan of action when it happened.
Right, and we can always learn from our mistakes. Now, has there ever been a breach of security like this in Canada before?
No, there hasn't. Canadians, they have a very large population of guns, one of the highest in the world. But they also have a very small population. And the thing with people up in Canada is that they know how to use their weapons. They normally don't use them for malicious acts.
Right. Now, do you think that with the training courses that they provide to, issue licenses to the people that want to possess guns and use guns in a rightful manner, hunting, for example, do you think that they need to crack down on their regulations as to who they issue certificates to own and operate a firearm to?
Outside of the cities, no. I don't think that there's a very big problem, but outside the cities is fine, but once you get more inside the cities, I think that they might need to step up a little bit. Like look at New York City, for example. New York City doesn't even allow guns into the city unless you are a certified police officer or something of that state. Toronto and Ottawa, they're both very large cities. They can both be compared to, they are often compared to New York City and Boston. And you see how these big things happen, and the repercussions are stiffer security. And I think that after the shooting, stiffer security will definitely happen in Canada.
So definitely in a higher populated area as well.
Yeah.
All righty, thank you, Brooks, and we'll get more from you in just a little bit. Up next here tonight, a couple of filmmakers pursuing their dreams all the way to the Big Apple. My exclusive interview next.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Well, as they say, there's nothing like a dream to create the future. And for two filmmakers, Jacob Metcalf and Jonathan Bede, alongside me here tonight to give us some information on their soon-to-come short film entitled Our Problem. Jonathan, Jake, good evening to you.
Good evening.
All right, so now, can you just give me some information about this? What is this film about?
Basically, this film, Our Problem, is essentially about, it's like the struggles of teenagers, but it's not quite an everyday teenager type drama. It's not like I try to distance myself as much from the cliches as possible. I wrote this over the course of about 4 or 5 months, and honestly, it's very difficult to explain because it delves into a lot of different genres. And basically it's about this character, Travis, who is kind of a self-centered, he's kind of a know-it-all. He dropped out of school. He's about 17 years old. And then this girl, Grace, who basically has nothing. Travis takes everything for granted, and Grace has nothing at all. And essentially, it's kind of them being, opposite sides of the spectrum, and they want to try to come together. And Grace tries to make the first attempt towards Travis, and Travis just ignores it. And it's basically like a character study almost of two different characters. And just like how they interact with each other, and then at the end there's a big climax, and it shows basically what these two people can do. I'm trying to think of it.
Travis kind of finds that Travis kind of realizes, that he doesn't take.
Yeah. Essentially, at the end, Travis. This is probably a spoiler, but Travis learns his ways with some serious consequences, essentially.
Now, what are your inspirations for this film? What gets you guys going? What makes you tick?
Just, looking at some of the big films out there and kind of watching them and watching the way they flow, and the pacing through those kind of, gives us inspiration to kind of model ourselves off of them and kind of make our own style in that sort of way.
So what equipment do you use to film? Large cameras, small cameras? What kind of equipment are you guys using?
He's the equipment guy, so he knows.
Well, since we're just, in high school and these films are incredibly expensive to produce, we do a lot of, do-it-yourself kind of camera gear.
Right.
And kind of make or improvise with a lot of stuff that is much less expensive than if you were to purchase, like the professional equivalent. So we do have a few Canon DSLRs that we use, and some high quality lenses and a tripod. And then but most of the non-essential stuff we try to improvise and just save a little bit of money.
So now, big news! You guys have gone to New York City and met with
Yeah.
some producers on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, what they said to us was essentially that they read through the scripts and everything, and they want to see what we can do. They want to see what we can achieve as filmmakers and what we can do on our own. And hopefully from there, and maybe from this, and just spreading the word and everything, we can try to make a name for ourselves.
Now, how are you advertising the film?
We do the usual, like on the internet and YouTube and stuff like that, but we're also looking into many student film festivals.
Yeah, there's one in New York and then a few other in Connecticut that we've been looking into.
And then just festivals anywhere, and maybe the producers could help us with that as well.
Now, if someone would like to get a hold of you guys, get some more information about this, when it will be released, do you guys have emails?
Yeah,
website
absolutely.
or anything?
Yeah. I'm jacob.metcalf246@gmail.com.
I'm jonathanbeatfilms@gmail.com.
And we have a Facebook page for our problem, but it's not quite finished yet, and we will hopefully get that out as soon as possible.
Alrighty, Jacob Metcalf, Jonathan B., thank you so much
Very
for coming
nice.
tonight.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. Alrighty. Well, up next here tonight, our Making a Difference report about an 89-year-old war veteran and a 3-year-old boy, neighbors and best of friends. However, their bond may soon come to an end.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
We take a look at an 89-year-old war veteran and a 3-year-old, both hoping that goodbye is time periods away. However, with a growing family and an aging mentor, playing croquet and driving the big green tractor may soon come to an end. Well, the two enjoyed growing tomatoes in the garden, drawing maps of the local trails and fishing spots, repairing bikes, and even snowblowing, that is, a path from each other's back doors when the cold season arrives. However, the 3-year-old named Emmett and his growing family had to soon move away, 16 miles up the road that is, and the veteran named Erling recently named a senior apartment with his wife home. Luckily, the two visit each other on a regular basis and revisit the memories that shaped each other for good, thanks to viewers like you. Up next here tonight, Nurses Without Borders prepared to sue the state of New Jersey on grounds of inhumane treatment.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Tonight, airstrikes by U.S.-led forces have killed 553 people, including 32 civilians, during a month-long campaign in Syria against Islamic State militants. A UK-based Syrian monitoring group, which tracks the violence, said on Thursday of those killed, 57 were members of the al-Qaeda-affiliated Nusra Front. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the majority of those killed, 464 that is, were ISIS fighters. Some interesting news out of San Francisco tonight. Some jail inmates are now in possession of computer tablets they can use to do homework, read novels, and prepare for their criminal cases. The tablets were distributed Wednesday to more than 100 inmates as part of a 2-year, $275,000 pilot program. The inmates will only be able to access 4 secure websites, including a law library. They will also have access to a calculator, an education application, and an education curriculum developed by the jail's 5 Keys Charter School. A nurse who spent the last several days in a New Jersey hospital isolation room after returning from an Ebola assignment in Western Africa has been released. The nurse, who was quarantined after arriving last week at Newark Liberty International Airport under a new mandate issued earlier that day by Governor Chris Christie. The nurse is prepared to sue the state of New Jersey for inhumane treatment, however, after being quarantined with no Ebola symptoms. Up next here tonight, Weekend Sports with Brooks Kenny.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Last week, a tragedy hit the St. Louis Cardinals community as top prospect Oscar Taveras died in a car crash in the Dominican Republic. This death not only affects the Taveras family, but the Cardinals organization, as he was constantly ranked as number 2 prospect in the MLB. We give our condolences to the Taveras family as we mourn the loss. Oscar was 22 years old. In other baseball news, the World Series has been in full force as we saw the San Francisco Giants take a 3-2 lead on the heels of Madison Bumgarner as he tossed the first shutout in the World Series since 2001. Many baseball fans around here remember him as Bumgarner pitched for the Connecticut Defenders in 2009. In local news, Stonington High School beat Waterford 35-0 in the Bears' homecoming game. They now advance past the 500 mark as they are 4-3 with 4 games left in the season. Last Sunday, we saw the New England Patriots beat the Chicago Bears 51-23 And we saw that Tom Brady, the Patriots quarterback, still has some fight left in him, as earlier in the season he was falling down. Now back to you, Kyle.
Alrighty, thank you, Brooks, and thank you for being here with us. That's our broadcast on a Friday night. I'm Kyle Curtis. We hope to see you right back here next week, but for now, have a great evening. Good night.